What if every strange coincidence, the numbers on the clock, the friend who calls the moment you think of them, wasn't random at all? What if it was you disguised as the universe, leaving breadcrumbs for yourself? Stay with me, because once you see the truth, you'll never look at synchronicity the same way again. Think about it. You're walking down the street and suddenly a song on the radio says the exact words you needed to hear. You glance at your phone and notice 1111 glowing back at you. Or maybe you think of someone out of nowhere and within seconds they call. These moments feel like reality has staged a magic trick just for you. And here's the question that rattles the bones. Are these coincidences, or are they you in disguise? It's like life is leaving breadcrumbs. The universe drops them where only you can see, daring you to follow. A broken clock still telling the right time twice a day. A stranger's passing words cutting deeper than your own thoughts. A door opening just when you were about to give up. These aren't accidents. They're signals. Shadows of something waiting to reveal itself. Before we dive into this deeper mystery, hit that like button and subscribe. Every time you do, you're not just helping this channel grow, you're sending a signal to YouTube that this truth matters. YouTube then carries it to the people searching for answers but don't even know what to type. You become part of the chain that spreads the light. So let's ask again, what if synchronicity isn't just chance? What if it's your future self reaching back, whispering in riddles? What if every strange pattern, every so-called coincidence, is a mask hiding your own reflection? And here's the twist, if you ignore it, you risk missing the very doorway to the life already waiting for you. Stay with me, because in a moment, we'll strip away the disguise, and what we find might unsettle you more than comfort you. The signs you've been chasing may not be signs at all. They may be you. When lightning strikes twice, Albert Einstein once said that, and whether you believe in God, fate, or nothing at all, there's no denying that some moments feel too sharp, too deliberate, to be brushed off as chance. You've probably had this thought, am I just imagining it? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. That's what most people do. They wave it away like smoke from a candle, but deep down you feel it, the weight of it. The strange order behind the chaos. The whisper that reality itself is trying to get your attention. Carl Jung, the man who dared to put a name to the unnameable, called it meaningful coincidence. He knew it rattled the cage of logic. How could two things that have no business being connected collide with such perfect timing that it leaves you shivering? How could a thought in your head and an event in the world meet like lovers across a crowded room? Imagine throwing dice across a table and every time, against all odds, they land showing the same numbers. At what point do you stop calling it luck and start calling it a pattern? At what point do you admit that the game is rigged, not against you, but for you? Here's what nags at the back of your mind. If this is real, if there's meaning behind the madness, what does it want from me? That's the question you can't shake. Because if synchronicity is real, then it's not just a trick of the mind, it's a language, a code. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets, until it pulls you by the collar and demands, pay attention, and this is only the beginning. What's coming next will bend the rules you thought you knew about how life is supposed to work. Peeking behind the curtain of reality. The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. J.B.S. Haldane said that, and nowhere is it truer than when you step from the old world of science into the new. For centuries, we were told reality was a straight line. Cause here, effect there. Push the domino and watch the chain fall. Simple, predictable, mechanical. That's the Newtonian world. A universe that ticks like a clock. But here's the twist. The deeper we looked, the less it behaved like a machine. At the smallest level, the universe started looking more like a dream. Quantum physics cracked open the curtain, and what it showed was chaos with hidden order. Reality doesn't march in a line. It spreads out in all directions like countless doors floating in a dark hallway. Every possibility already exists, waiting for one thing: your attention. The moment you look, the moment you expect, one door lights up and becomes real, while the others fade back into shadow. This is why synchronicities feel so eerie. They're not random accidents. They're leaks from another version of reality brushing against yours. Like a radio catching static from a nearby station, your mind tunes into possibilities before they fully arrive. The more your thoughts, feelings, and energy match that possibility, the clearer the signal gets until, boom, it shows up in front of you, wearing the mask of coincidence. Think of it like catching glimpses of your own reflection in cracked glass. Each shard shows a piece of you from a slightly different angle. Synchronicity is that reflection flashing before the full picture comes together. And here's the hard truth. If the universe is a field of infinite options, then the synchronicities you see are clues to the version of yourself that's already waiting. Dancing with shadows. Picture this. You're standing in a dark alley, and before you see the person walking toward you, you catch their shadow stretching long across the wall. You don't see the details yet. You don't know their face, their clothes, or even their intentions. But you know someone is there. That's what synchronicity really is. The shadow of a future reality brushing against your present one. Most people think shadows are tricks of the light, something empty, something unreal. But shadows are proof that something solid exists, just beyond your direct line of sight. In the same way, synchronicities aren't illusions or random sparks. They're the early outlines of a reality forming, waiting to step fully into the light. Imagine life as a grand stage play. The actors you see under the spotlight aren't the whole cast. Backstage, hidden in the wings, other characters are waiting for their cue. Every synchronicity is like hearing their footsteps behind the curtain, an echo of the scene that hasn't arrived yet. You may not see the actor, but you know they're about to step out and change the story. This is your shadow reality, the dimension where possibilities exist before they become flesh and bone moments. When you see repeating numbers, hear the right words at the right time, or stumble into chance meetings, that's not randomness. That's your shadow reality leaking through the seams of the world, whispering, "It's already here." Step closer. Here's the catch. If you mistake the shadow for the whole picture, you'll stay stuck staring at the wall. But if you trust the shadow as proof of what's coming, you learn to read it like a map. Synchronicities aren't the destination. They're the first footprints on the path toward it. And sometimes, those footprints are the only warning before the future arrives. The trap of signs. Here's the paradox at the heart of synchronicity. Most people don't know what to do with it. Some shrug and say, just coincidence, brushing it off like lint on a jacket. They slam the door before the knock is even finished. Others cling to every flicker and symbol with desperation, reading omens in spilled coffee or begging the clock to tell them their fate at 11:11. Both are blind spots, and both stop the magic from fully showing itself. Think of it like seeing a trail of breadcrumbs in the forest. One person ignores them completely and wanders in circles. Another person drops to their knees, worshipping each crumb as though it's the meal itself. But neither of them reaches the feast waiting at the end of the trail. Synchronicities aren't meant to be dismissed or idolized. They're meant to be followed. Why do so many get stuck here? Because it's easier to live in extremes. Dismissing synchronicity means you don't have to face the possibility that reality is stranger than you thought. Obsessing over it means you don't have to take responsibility. You just wait for signs to tell you what to do. But both attitudes miss the deeper truth. Synchronicity isn't about luck, magic numbers, or superstition. It's about alignment. This is why we need to zoom out, to see the bigger picture where science and spirituality finally shake hands. Because synchronicity isn't a fairy tale. It's not a cosmic trick to amuse you. It's feedback, a mirror of what you're resonating with. And if you want to stop tripping over crumbs and start finding the banquet, you'll have to look past coincidence and superstition. The real question isn't, what does this sign mean? The real question is, why is it showing up for me now? The mind's hidden filter. Your brain isn't just a lump of grey matter sitting in your skull. It's a fortune teller dressed in science. Every second it's bombarded with billions of signals, colours, sounds, smells, words, movements. If it let all of that in, you'd go insane. So it filters. It trims reality down to a manageable slice, showing you not what's really there, but what it thinks matters to you. Here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't filter at random. It filters according to your focus. If you believe the world is cruel, your brain highlights every insult, every setback, every danger. If you believe the world is kind, it spotlights smiles, opportunities, and open doors. It's like wearing tinted glasses. Fear makes everything look darker. Gratitude makes everything glow. Imagine walking through a crowded city street. One person notices only the potholes and the litter, muttering about how terrible the place is. Another notices the mural on the wall, the rhythm of music from a cafe, the laughter of strangers. Both are in the same street, but their brains have chosen different realities. That's why when you tune your mind to a frequency, love, abundance, healing, your brain begins to act like a spotlight operator. Out of the billions of possible details, it shines light on the ones that match your chosen vibe. Suddenly you start noticing synchronicities everywhere, but the truth is they were always there. You just weren't tuned to them. Your brain is less a passive camera and more a radio. Whatever station you dial into, that's the music you hear. Change the dial, and the whole world changes with it. When the inner tuning fork strikes, what you seek is seeking you. Rumi's words cut straight to the core of synchronicity. Your brain isn't just a spotlight picking out details. It's more like a tuning fork humming in the middle of a vast orchestra. Strike it with fear, and it vibrates with fear. Strike it with gratitude, and it vibrates with gratitude. And here's the secret. Whatever note your tuning fork sings, the universe echoes back. This is why people living in constant fear always seem to stumble into more reasons to be afraid. Their tuning fork hums a shaky, anxious note, and the field delivers matching experiences. The missed calls, the bad news, the wrong turns. On the other hand, those who walk in gratitude seem to find blessings hiding under every rock. Doors open, help arrives. Luck follows them like a shadow. But it's not luck. It's resonance. Think about a guitar sitting quietly in a room. Pluck a string on one guitar and across the room, the same string on another guitar begins to vibrate, even though no one touched it. That's resonance. Your inner state works the same way. Fear, anger, doubt, these notes call out to matching strings in the world. Gratitude, joy, trust, these notes awaken opportunities, connections, synchronicities that align with you. The sharper and clearer your inner state, the more precise the echo becomes. It's like adjusting a radio. When the signal is fuzzy, you hear static and noise. But when you fine-tune the dial, the music comes through crystal clear. That's why when your heart, mind, and body line up in harmony, synchronicities don't just appear, they arrive like clockwork, undeniable, sharp, and perfect. So stop calling it luck. Luck is blind, resonance is exact, and the universe never fails to echo the note you are brave enough to play. The map is not the treasure. Here's where most people get it twisted. They see 11:11 on the clock, or a stranger says the exact words they were thinking, and they gasp like they've just uncovered buried gold. But synchronicities aren't the treasure chest, they're the map, the breadcrumbs, the arrow on the road saying, this way. If if you stop at the arrow and celebrate it as the finish line, you never reach the destination it was pointing to. Imagine a sailor lost at sea. One night, he sees a lighthouse beam cutting through the fog. Does he cheer, drop anchor, and say, "I've made it"? Of course not. The light isn't the harbor. It's the guide that shows him where the harbor is. Synchronicities work the same way. They're not rewards. They're instructions. Signals from your shadow reality saying, "Keep sailing. You're getting closer." The danger is mistaking the spark for the fire. People collect repeating numbers like trophies, stacking them up as proof that the universe is on their side. But numbers don't change your life. Choices do. The number is only the knock on the door. You still have to open it. Every synchronicity is an invitation to shift, to step out of who you've been and into who you're becoming, to act from the state that the sign is mirroring back to you. Love, abundance, trust. The sign won't drag you there, it simply points the way. So when the pattern shows up, don't worship it, don't ignore it. Recognize it, thank it, and then move. Because synchronicities aren't the prize at the end of the journey. They're the universe whispering, "Your future is calling." Will you answer? Breaking the chains of the clockwork world. For centuries, we were told the universe was a giant clock. Newton's world was simple. Push here and something moves there. Drop an apple and it falls. Cause, then effect. One line, no mystery. In that tidy picture, coincidences had no meaning. They were shrugged off as random glitches in a flawless machine. But then came the cracks. Scientists looked closer, so close they peered into the fabric of reality itself. And what they found was chaos that danced with intelligence. The machine wasn't a machine at all. The gears gave way to waves, fields, and possibilities. Reality stopped behaving like a ticking clock and started behaving like a mirror, bending and responding to whoever was watching. Quantum physics shattered the old story. Suddenly, the observer mattered. Intention mattered, resonance mattered. Reality wasn't a cold mechanism grinding away. It was alive, playful, unpredictable. It was less like a locked railroad track and more like an ocean, vast, fluid, shaping itself around the energy you brought to it. This is the leap most people fear to take. In Newton's world, you're a bystander. Things happen to you. In the quantum world, you are a participant. Things happen through you, around you, because of you. And that's terrifying for some. Because if reality isn't a machine, it means your thoughts, your emotions, and your focus carry far more weight than you were ever told. Coincidence becomes conversation. Synchronicity becomes language. The universe stops being a silent backdrop and becomes a partner in dialogue. Leaving Newton's world is like stepping out of black and white into color. And once you see the field shimmer, once you realize reality bends to meet the gaze of the observer, you'll never again believe that a coincidence is just random. It's the field winking back. When watching shapes the world, one of the strangest discoveries in science came from a simple test with light and particles, the double-slit experiment. Physicists fired single particles at a barrier with two slits, expecting them to behave like tiny bullets. But instead, the particles spread out like waves, as if they were in every place at once. That alone was shocking. Yet what happened next bent reality even further. When the scientists watched the particles, the pattern changed. Suddenly, the particles acted like solid objects, collapsing into a single spot instead of spreading into many. It was as if the act of observation itself decided their fate. Unwatched, they lived in endless possibility. Watched, they became one concrete reality. Think about that for a moment. The universe doesn't just exist out there, indifferent to you. The universe responds to your gaze. Noticing changes what becomes real. Now take that idea and apply it to your own life. The reason certain events line up so perfectly, the phone call at the right second, the chance meeting, the repeating numbers, is not blind chance. It's because your consciousness was already tuned to that probability wave. You were vibrating on the channel where that version of reality was waiting. And the instant you noticed it, you collapsed it into form. Synchronicity, then, is not a trick. It's physics in motion. Just as a particle responds to being seen, your reality responds to being recognized. So the next time you catch one of those eerie coincidences, don't brush it off. Realize you're not just watching life happen. You're shaping it with every glance, every thought, every act of awareness. The question is, what possibilities are you choosing to collapse? The invisible thread. Quantum entanglement is one of those discoveries that sounds more like poetry than science. Take two particles that were once connected, then separate them by miles, or even galaxies. No matter the distance, what happens to one instantly echoes in the other. It's as if an invisible thread ties them together, a connection that laughs at space and time. Now stretch that metaphor into your own life. Haven't you ever thought of someone out of the blue, only for your phone to buzz with their message seconds later? Or dreamt of an opportunity, then watched it show up at your doorstep the next day? Logic would call it impossible. Entanglement calls it inevitable. Carl Jung sensed this long before physicists put equations to it. He called synchronicity a causal connection. Events linked not by push and pull, but by meaning. Think about that. A broken watch, a stranger's phrase, a random coincidence, none of them cause your life to change. But the meaning you attach to them becomes the bridge between mind and matter. Meaning is the golden thread. It weaves your inner world with the outer one. Without it, events are scattered beads rolling across the floor. With it, they string together into a necklace, a pattern you can wear, a story you can live. So when synchronicity strikes, don't waste time asking, what caused this? Ask instead, what does this mean to me? Because the cause may be invisible, but the meaning is the doorway. And once you see life not as a machine of causes, but as a field of connections, every coincidence becomes a message. Every echo is proof that the thread is real, and that it has always been tugging on you. Lifting the veil. Most of the time, your brain is like a strict gatekeeper at a club. Billions of bits of reality line up outside. Sounds, sights, signals, patterns, but only a handful make it past the velvet rope. Why? Because if you saw everything all at once, you'd drown in information. So your subconscious filters, hides, edits, and crops life into something you can manage. But every so often, the gatekeeper steps aside. Maybe you're deep in meditation. Maybe emotion cracks you wide open. Maybe a crystal clear intention slices through the noise. In those moments, the filter thins. What was hiding in the shadows slips into the spotlight. The invisible becomes undeniable. Think about the times you were in love. Suddenly, every song on the radio seemed written just for you. Or the times grief hollowed you out, and you noticed signs of loss everywhere you looked. Were those patterns always there? Yes. You just weren't tuned to see them until your state shifted. It's like adjusting the focus on a camera lens. What once looked like a blur sharpens into crisp detail. Synchronicities that used to blend into the background start flashing like neon lights. This is why heightened awareness feels almost magical. It's not that reality suddenly changed. It's that your perception widened enough to glimpse the pattern already woven through it. Meditation, intention, emotion. These are keys that unlock doors your ordinary mind keeps shut. And when those doors swing open, you realize something chilling and beautiful. The universe was never silent. You were just too noisy to hear it. The signs, the symbols, the synchronicities, they were always waiting. The only question is whether you'll quiet yourself long enough to notice the whispers turning into words. When the orchestra plays in you, picture your mind, heart, and body as instruments sitting on the same stage. Your thoughts are the violin, your emotions the cello, your body the steady drumbeat. Now, if each plays its own tune without listening to the others, the result is chaos, noise, static, confusion. That's what most people live in, a scattered symphony. But when the instruments align, when thought, feeling, and action find the same rhythm, the music shifts. The sound grows rich, powerful, undeniable. This harmony is what science calls coherence, and coherence is the language the universe understands best. The quantum field doesn't respond to half-hearted notes or scrambled signals. It responds to clarity. When your inner orchestra is tuned, the field echoes back the same melody. That echo is what you experience as synchronicity. A stranger offers the exact advice you needed. An opportunity lands in your lap the moment you decide to commit. Numbers repeat, doors swing open, patterns line up. The universe is simply saying, yes, keep playing that tune. Think of it like yelling into a canyon. If your voice cracks, the echo comes back distorted. But if you shout with a strong, clear tone, the canyon throws your voice back with power. Coherence works the same way. This is why synchronicities often arrive when you're deeply aligned, when your thoughts believe, your emotions trust, and your body acts in agreement. The resonance carries so far and so wide that the universe can't help but respond in kind. So the next time life feels noisy and the signs fade, ask yourself, am I out of tune? Because the clearer your song, the louder the echo. And synchronicity is nothing more than the universe humming along with your music. Chasing shadows, missing the light. Here's where many seekers lose their way. They spot repeating numbers on a clock, hear the same phrase from strangers, or catch a symbol flashing again and again, and they clutch it like treasure. But numbers aren't the miracle. They're the signal. The signpost on the road, not the city you're traveling toward. Imagine standing in the desert, parched and desperate. In the distance, you see a sign that says, water, 5 miles ahead. Would you fall to your knees and worship the sign? Or worse, stop walking because you think you've already found the source? Of course not. The sign isn't the water, it's the pointer. Synchronicities are the same. They're guiding you toward what's coming, but they are not the destination themselves. When you chase the signs, you shrink their power. You turn breadcrumbs into a meal, shadows into the whole picture. The danger is living off signals instead of stepping into substance. Synchronicity is only the echo of a reality forming in your field, the shadow of the object approaching. If you stop at the shadow, you'll never touch the thing casting it. The universe doesn't send numbers to be collected like trophies or hoarded like charms. It sends them to whisper, pay attention. You're on the trail. The real work isn't in spotting the signs, it's in becoming the person they're pointing toward. So the next time 1111 flashes before your eyes, smile, nod, and keep moving. Don't worship the shadow, find the light. Because the miracle isn't in the number, it's in the reality waiting just beyond it. The mirror never lies. Here's a trap many fall into. They treat synchronicities like cosmic exams. A sign shows up and they think, yes, I passed. Then the signs vanish and panic sets in. What did I do wrong? Am I being punished? But synchronicity isn't a teacher with a red pen. It's a mirror. It doesn't grade you. It reflects you. Think of it like walking past your reflection in a shop window. Some days, the glass is clean and sharp. You see yourself clearly. Other days, the glass is foggy or covered in dust, and the reflection disappears. Did you stop existing because the mirror blurred? Of course not. You're still there, the mirror just needs cleaning. Synchronicities work the same way. They appear when your thoughts, feelings, and actions are humming in tune. They fade when you drift out of rhythm. That's not judgment, it's feedback. A gentle nudge saying, something inside you has shifted. Tune back in. Imagine tuning an old radio. When you're on the right frequency, the music is crisp, alive. Slide the dial even slightly, and all you hear is static. The station didn't vanish. You just lost the signal. Synchronicities are that signal. When they go quiet, it's not the end of magic. It's the universe inviting you to adjust your dial. So stop fearing the silence. Don't treat the absence of signs as a curse. Use it as a compass. Ask, where am I out of tune? What needs realignment? Because the truth is simple, synchronicities don't judge, punish, or test. They guide, they echo, they mirror. And the moment you reattune, the music returns, louder and clearer than before. Turning sparks into a compass. Most people treat synchronicities like fireflies on a summer night. They watch them glow, smile for a second and move on. Pretty but meaningless. But here's the secret. Those sparks aren't random. They're signals brushing up against your present reality, waiting for you to pay attention. The moment you stop treating them as curiosities and start engaging them as messages, everything changes. Pause when one appears. Breathe. Instead of asking, what does this mean out there? Ask, what does this say about me in here? Because every synchronicity is a mirror of your state, a reflection of the vibration you're radiating. It's like walking through a dense forest and stumbling across trail markers carved into trees. You could ignore them and keep wandering, or you could realize they're guiding you toward a path already laid out. Synchronicity works the same way. It isn't a random flash, it's a breadcrumb trail through the wilderness of possibilities. Ask yourself, what state within me is being echoed here? What reality is knocking at the door, asking to be embodied? When you frame synchronicity this way, it shifts from trivia to navigation. Suddenly, you're not just wandering through life hoping for direction. You're being guided. The universe doesn't hand you a map with dotted lines. It hands you mirrors, whispers, nudges. Synchronicities aren't commands, they're invitations. The difference is whether you'll pause long enough to listen. So the next time a coincidence rattles you, don't shrug it off. Don't chase it like treasure either. Stand still, feel into it, and let it point you toward the version of yourself that's already waiting on the other side. Because synchronicity isn't random light, it's the compass glowing in the dark. When possibility becomes flesh. In the strange world of quantum physics, a particle doesn't sit in one place like a pebble on the ground. It exists in many places at once, a cloud of possibilities, all equally real, all waiting. This is called superposition. Nothing is fixed until it is observed. Only then does the wave collapse into one solid outcome. Now bring this home to your life. Every possible version of you, wealthy, broken, healed, lost, in love, alone, already exists in that cloud of probability. When synchronicity flashes before you, it's like catching a glimpse of one of those versions through a crack in the wall, a repeating number, a chance encounter, a perfect coincidence. These aren't accidents, they're previews, glimpses of a timeline already vibrating, waiting for you to step in. But here's the catch. Noticing isn't enough. If you simply shrug, the wave dissipates. The possibility fades back into the fog. To make it real, you have to meet the sign with awareness, intention, and alignment. It's like seeing a doorway flicker into view, you still have to walk through it. Think of synchronicity as the universe handing you wet clay. In that moment, the form is undecided. If you pick it up with clarity and shape it with belief, it becomes something tangible. If you ignore it, the clay dries, crumbles, and blows away. So the next time reality winks at you, don't just smile and move on. Pause. Anchor into the state that matches the sign. Align thought, feeling, and action with the version of you it's pointing toward. Because when you do, the wave collapses. Possibility becomes flesh. And the life you thought was far away suddenly stands right in front of you. When meaning turns the key. Carl Jung once called synchronicity a kind of psychic parallelism, events that aren't tied by cause and effect, but by the invisible thread of meaning. That thread is the bridge between your inner world and the outer one. Without meaning, synchronicities are just stray sparks. With meaning, they become fire. Think of it like scattered puzzle pieces on a table. At first, they look random, disconnected, accidental. But the moment you recognize the image they form, everything locks into place. Meaning is what snaps the pieces together. The event itself isn't the miracle, the meaning you give it is. But here's the catch. Not all meaning is equal. If you assign meaning from fear, desperation, or superstition, you distort the signal. It's like trying to tune a radio with shaky hands. You'll only hear static. Real meaning, the kind that collapses possibility into reality, comes when your mind, your emotions, and your body are in harmony. That's coherence. Imagine seeing 11:11 on the clock. If you panic and think, what if I miss the message? You scatter the energy. But if you pause, breathe, and let gratitude, trust, and clarity flood your system, you fuse with the vibration the number is pointing to. In that moment, the coincidence becomes a catalyst. The wave collapses. The potential steps into form. Meaning is the alchemy that turns shadows into substance. It's the bridge between thought and matter, between what you imagine and what you live. So the next time synchronicity knocks, don't just ask, is this real? Ask instead, what meaning am I ready to embody? Because once you choose the meaning, you've already chosen the reality that follows. 90 seconds to rewire fate. Here's something science and spirituality agree on. Your brain is not fixed. It rewires itself every time you focus, every time you feel, every time you repeat an experience with emotion attached. This is neuroplasticity, the ability of your mind to literally sculpt itself like clay. And synchronicity gives you the clay fresh and wet in your hands. When a synchronicity strikes, when the numbers align, when the call comes at the perfect second, when the impossible lines up, you're standing at a doorway. Most people glance at it, smile, then move on. But if you stop and feel into it, you step through. Here's the secret. Pair that moment with an elevated emotion, gratitude, awe, trust. Hold it for at least 90 seconds. That's how long it takes to etch the signal deep into your nervous system, to carve a groove that your subconscious will follow again and again. It's like training a muscle. Fire it long enough, and it strengthens. Think of it as charging a magnet. The more you saturate the experience with elevated feeling, the stronger your signal becomes. Gratitude turns the knob. Awe turns up the volume. Trust makes it stick. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing signs, you're pulling them toward you. Expectation becomes magnetic. When your brain and body are wired to expect alignment, the field responds by delivering more of it. Coincidences multiply, patterns sharpen, reality bends to the state you've anchored. So the next time synchronicity winks at you, don't let it pass like a shooting star. Stop, breathe, feel. For 90 seconds, live as if the door has already opened. Because in that short window, you're not just noticing the sign, you're wiring the future into your very being. The silence before the shift. One of the most unsettling experiences on this path is when the signs go quiet. The numbers vanish, the strange coincidences dry up. The universe feels mute, as if it turned its back on you. Doubt creeps in, fear whispers, did I lose it? Was it all in my head? But here's the truth. Silence isn't rejection. It's preparation. In quantum physics, before a wave collapses into one reality, it hovers in a liminal haze of possibilities. It's unstable, uncertain, blurry, but necessary. Without that haze, nothing could lock into form. The same thing happens in your life. When synchronicity pauses, the field isn't abandoning you, it's recalibrating. Probabilities are aligning, weaving themselves into the outcome you've been resonating with. The silence is the threshold before the shift. Think of an archer pulling back a bow. For a moment, everything is still. No arrow flies, no target is hit. But that silence is not wasted. It's tension gathering, energy compressing, alignment locking in. Then, suddenly, the arrow is released, and the stillness was revealed as the most powerful moment of all. Spiritually, silence is a test of trust. Will you cling to fear because the signs have stopped, or will you stand firm in faith, knowing the field is still listening? This is where your resonance deepens, when it's not being reinforced by flashy synchronicities, but generated purely from within you. So don't curse the quiet. Embrace it. The pause is not the end of magic. It's the inhale before the exhale, the darkness before the dawn. And if you can hold your alignment through the silence, you'll discover what few ever do. The hush before the shift is often the loudest signal of all. The pause that plants the seed. Your brain is a storyteller, constantly predicting what comes next. Scientists call it predictive coding. Most of the time, it's busy recycling the past, expecting tomorrow to look just like yesterday. That's why change feels so hard. Your brain clings to old maps even when new territory is waiting. But synchronicity interrupts that script. Every repeating number, every perfect encounter, every impossible alignment rewires your nervous system to expect the extraordinary. Suddenly, the brain begins to loosen its grip on the ordinary and prepare for something new. Here's the twist. Right before the leap, the old code collapses. The familiar patterns break. The brain hesitates, unsure of what to predict. And in that disruption, uncertainty floods in. It feels like fog, silence, even loss. But that discomfort is not failure. It's proof of rewiring in progress. Carl Jung noticed it too. Synchronicities often come in clusters, bursts of strange alignment, followed by stretches of quiet. Those gaps aren't accidents, they're integration phases, the inhale and exhale of manifestation. The cluster excites you, cracks the old code. The silence stabilizes you, anchoring the new reality before it locks in. Think of planting a seed. First comes the burst of activity, soil tilled, seed buried, water poured. Then comes nothing, days of silence, even doubt. But beneath the surface, roots are spreading, the seed is cracking, life is preparing to break through. The pause is not the death of the process, it's the womb of it. So the next time synchronicities fade, don't panic, don't chase. Trust the pause. It isn't empty, it's anchoring. It's your brain and the universe breathing together, rewriting the code that shapes your reality. And when the exhale comes, the leap will feel inevitable, because you already lived it in the silence. Stop hunting, start radiating. Most people live like detectives, scanning the world for hidden messages. They wake up, check the clock for repeating numbers, replay conversations for secret codes, and dissect every coincidence like it's a puzzle. But here's the truth, the field has been whispering all along. You were never meant to chase signs. You were meant to become the signal. Think of it like this. A radio that's perfectly tuned doesn't need to search for a station. It is the station. It broadcasts. It radiates. It fills the air with clarity that others can pick up instantly. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and body into coherence, you stop needing previews from the universe. You're no longer waiting for the song. You're the one playing it. This is why some people walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. Everyone feels lighter, calmer, more alive without knowing why. It's not charisma, it's not luck, it's resonance. Their vibration is so steady that the field mirrors it back through other people, events, and opportunities. Doors don't just open, they swing wide because alignment makes them inevitable. Stop treating synchronicities like lottery tickets, rare prizes to be hoarded. That's the mindset of a seeker. Instead, live as the source. Embody the energy of the reality you desire so completely that the world can't help but echo it back. When you become the signal, synchronicity doesn't vanish. It transforms. It stops arriving as random winks and starts flowing as a constant state of alignment. You stop asking, "Is this a sign?" and start living as if every breath, every step, every glance is confirmation. Because the universe doesn't reward those who chase clues. It resonates with those who radiate truth. And once you radiate, reality has no choice but to keep up with you. Wearing tomorrow today. Neville Goddard had a radical teaching. Live in the end. Don't wait for proof. Don't beg for signs. Don't hold your breath until the miracle shows up. Instead, embody the result now, as if it's already done. Walk as though the door has opened. Speak as though the reality is here. Feel as though the prayer has already been answered. It sounds like fantasy, but neuroscience and quantum research back it up. Dr. Joe Dispenza's studies reveal that when the heart and brain sync up, when emotion and thought pulse together in coherence, synchronicities surge, not because the universe suddenly decides to notice you, but because you've tuned yourself into such a clear frequency that the field organizes around you. You stop being noise. You start being signal. Think of an actor stepping onto a stage. If they stumble in half-heartedly, the audience doesn't believe the role. But if they become the character, embodying every gesture, tone, and thought, the audience leans forward in awe. Life works the same way. Reality doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to embodiment. Living in the end means slipping into the skin of your future self. If it's love you desire, feel the warmth of it now. If it's abundance, carry yourself as if supported already. The field doesn't need you to wait, it needs you to radiate. When you live this way, synchronicity stops being rare. It becomes the natural rhythm of your days, a reflection of the end you've already chosen. So ask yourself, are you waiting for proof or are you wearing tomorrow today? Because the moment you decide to live as if it's already yours, reality will rearrange itself to agree. Becoming your own North Star. Here's where the rubber meets the road. We all crave signs. When doubt creeps in, we beg the universe for proof. A number on the clock, a word from a stranger, a coincidence that tells us we're still on track. But chasing signs puts the power outside of you. Real power begins when you turn inward and ask a sharper question. Am I aligned with the version of me who already lives this reality? If the answer is yes, breathe into it. Let that state expand through your body. Radiate it like heat from a fire. No need for reassurance, because you are the reassurance. If the answer is no, don't spiral, realign. Use your breath to steady the mind. Redirect your thoughts toward possibility, not fear. Let your emotions shift from doubt to trust. Alignment is not a mystery, it's a practice. Think of it like tuning an instrument. When a string goes flat, you don't throw away the guitar, you adjust the peg until it rings true again. You're the same. When life sounds off, you don't need a miracle. You need a retune. And here's the mantra that seals it. I don't need signs to know who I am. I am the sign. Say it until your body believes it. Say it until your energy hums with it. Because when you embody that truth, you stop begging the universe for breadcrumbs. You become the lighthouse, the compass, the signal itself. And from that place, synchronicities stop arriving as fragile proofs. They flow as natural echoes of the certainty you already carry. When magic becomes the norm, For most people, synchronicity feels like a rare gift, a flash of magic that comes and goes like lightning in a storm. But what if it wasn't supposed to be rare? What if the extraordinary was meant to be your daily rhythm? Quantum biology hints at this truth. Coherence. When living systems are in harmony, information flows instantly and smoothly, as if the whole body, or even the whole universe, is one living symphony. But when you're fragmented, thinking one thing, feeling another, acting from fear, the signal breaks apart. It's like trying to play 3 different songs on 3 instruments at once. The result is static, confusion, noise. Synchronicities show up here and there, but they feel scattered, accidental, hard to hold on to. Now imagine unifying those instruments. Your thoughts hum in agreement with your emotions. Your body follows the rhythm instead of resisting it. Suddenly, the scattered notes blend into a song so pure that reality itself starts to dance with you. That's coherence, and coherence isn't mystical. It's efficient physics. The field responds to clarity like glass responds to sound, vibrating back exactly what you project. This is why alignment feels like magic. Doors open. People mirror your state. Opportunities arrive without effort. But none of it is luck. It's resonance organizing reality around your signal. When you stop treating synchronicity as a rare surprise and start embodying coherence as a lifestyle, life stops feeling like a puzzle of random signs. It becomes a seamless flow. The extraordinary becomes ordinary, and every day hums with the rhythm of alignment. And that's when you realize magic was never the exception. It was always the rule. You just had to play in tune. And this is where the journey turns full circle. We began by asking if synchronicity was just coincidence, or perhaps you in disguise. Now we've uncovered the deeper truth. The signs were never outside of you. They were echoes of your own resonance. Stop chasing shadows. Stop waiting for numbers to reassure you. When you embody alignment so fully that your energy sings with clarity, synchronicity stops being rare. It overflows. Life no longer feels stitched together by chance. It becomes composed by your consciousness. So here's the invitation. Anchor this truth right now. Say it with me, not just in your mind, but in your breath, in your body, in your field. I am the signal. Let that phrase carve itself into you until it hums through every step you take. If this spoke to you, help spread this message. Hit like, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments. That small act tells YouTube this wisdom matters, and it helps this signal reach those who need it most. Because the universe isn't waiting to whisper, it's waiting to mirror. From this moment on, don't just look for the sign. Be the sign, and watch reality rise to meet you.